It is my pleasure to welcome Vinita Gupta. She is the first Indian American woman to take a company public in Silicon Valley in 1994. Vinita, truly a pleasure. Welcome.
Glad to be here, Mati.
You have inspired not just women but many entrepreneurs here, Vinita. The question again goes back to your journey and your lessons learned. I should ask you to put your entrepreneur hat back again and reflect back on the days when you were starting out. So if you can share with us a couple of challenges that you faced personally as an entrepreneur and how you overcame that, so we could have some lessons learned for the aspiring entrepreneurs here.
Well, entrepreneurship consists of a lot of important ingredients to take the journey and become successful, and they vary by personalities. Having said that, for me, there were lessons, I would say, first of all, persistence and being able to navigate as I am learning and learning fast. Give you an example. Building up a management team, a senior management team, was a challenge that I couldn't have anticipated what it meant. I was trying to attract executives who had been executives in other companies, and I was a self-made entrepreneur. Didn't know how they looked at me. But being upfront, being trustworthy, being able to respect them for not just what they were, but how they were adding to the enterprise and how they were making up for my weaknesses, which they never mentioned. Their humbleness, their support, I think we just fed on each other. And that is what created the rapport, the trust, and they stuck around with me forever through thick times, good times, and bad times.
You know, I've interviewed and I've been privileged to interview many people like you. And one thing that is common is they tell me that money was never the first objective when they were starting out. And being truthful, honest, and having integrity was very important as an entrepreneur. And you gave a good example, and I request you to share that again, is when you were pregnant, investors were waiting for you to start the company, but you had to be open and honest with them. So it would be good for us to understand how being truthful and having the integrity is very important.
Yes, being a person of high integrity makes the path simpler. But because our internal selves sometimes don't want to face with that difficult situation, we may not be upfront, and we all get tempted by it. And so the example of the VCs was that we had, I would say, 2 VCs who were courting us, and I flew out to Washington, D.C. to meet one of them, and they did all the due diligence question. They had visited us already, and I was now in their company, and there were 2 of them sitting, and the last question they asked me was, is there something else that we should know? And that was a very telling moment for me, coming from Indian background, to even cough up to a strange men to disclose to them that I was pregnant, which I had just recently found out, was a difficult thing for me to say, but there was something inside me which could not hold that information back, and I disclosed it to them. Then came the second VCs, and they did not ask for anything. And at that time, I felt I must tell them before we even sign a preliminary term sheet. And I did. And their question was, so how do you plan to take care of the baby? And I had not had any children, so it was not a canned answer that I could give them. I said, I guess I would have to hire help, and that's exactly what I ended up doing. But it was a rapport that I developed with them, and that it was a commitment I felt I made it to them, that I could not let them down. So even after I had the baby, it was never a thought that crossed my mind that, it's something that I would not continue forward with, no matter what happened. And it was something that built a rapport with them, which the relationship which lasted 10 years with those VCs, that they questioned my capabilities, but they never questioned my intent. And it paid off handsomely through the challenging times, sailing through the issues, and of course it was financially very rewarding for them.
I want to bring your attention to here, Detroit or the greater Michigan area. There is a lot of knowledge, a lot of creativity, and as you said earlier, this is the opportune time to start enterprises. What has been your experience the last 2 days networking with aspiring entrepreneurs here at this conference?
It is not a surprise to see some of the doubts that people have. What is surprising is that there are people in this conference, some entrepreneurs that I met in this conference, who are not concerned. They are doing what they feel is the right thing for them. They are moving because they are finding opportunities, they are finding new areas to expand their product lines in. So I think it is better mindset than what I would have expected. In my own experience, I want to share is when I started Digital Inc. in 1985. That was the first year that Hewlett-Packard had announced that they would have a forced time off during Christmas and New Year. So those were not good times. But the good news for me at the time was somewhat similar. It reminds me that we could get an office space very easily. We could hire people at much lower salaries. People were getting laid off. And we could deal with our vendors who were willing to give us, we were a hardware manufacturing company, so the vendors were giving us good prices because they wanted to attract new business, and they had a flavor of what entrepreneurship successes could lead to, so we were their potential big customers. So I hope those are the type of things that entrepreneurs here are looking for. And I think that's a human tendency when things are really down. People really do pick up their sticks and they want to do something new, different, whatever they can do. They just don't give up on life.
I think in these challenging times it becomes pertinent rather to give a platform to entrepreneurs, and Tycon has been doing it for many years, and this is the second year here in Detroit. I wanted you to share your experience for the overall conference.
I think it is a tremendous effort on part of Tycon to hold this conference. It is hard to expect how many people will show up, who they will be able to attract as speakers, how successful it is going to be. I think they have accomplished all of the above. They have good attendance. Speakers are just wonderful, the ones I have heard. And people are buzzing with thoughts, ideas, and energy in the hallways and in the conference rooms. So I truly commend to the organizers for not giving up in hard times and continuing to march forward to create inspiration for people who are entrepreneurs at heart.
Vinita, thank you for taking time and coming all the way from Silicon Valley to inspire and encourage entrepreneurship here. Thank you.
It has been my pleasure. I really have looked forward to being here, experiencing an environment about which I had heard through other people. It is altogether a different thing, and I always believe that things are never as bad as they appear, and things are never as good as they appear.
Thank you.